I am so excited about this particular video because I just had the most amazing conversation with Haben about her and her sweet husband Brian, and wanted to share with you this couples chart reading of what you can see in a chart even when they look basically identical. Hello, hello, everyone. I am so excited today. I am Naomi Fox Reyna, and we are going to talk about couples charts, especially when they look really, really similar. So I have Haven here with me, and we were chatting recently and just looking at her chart and all the things as we do. And we pulled up her husband's chart because that happens all the time. I'm deeply fascinated by couples and the dynamics, and visually, they look identical. But so to the untrained eye, it might be like, oh my gosh, you married your twin. And Hobbit is like, that could not be further from the truth. So I was like, it'd be so fun is if we just like unpacked this a little bit and shared it with people. And so we're going to do like a mini couples reading here because we're not going to get into all the stuff because couples readings get into all the stuff and it's awesome. But because, there's nobody that's going to push our buttons and bring the stuff out more than our intimate partner. But Haven, go ahead and say hi and introduce yourself and all the things.
Hello, I'm Haben Delallata, and I'm actually a student of Naomi's, and I find all of this fascinating. I'm working with her as a student for business right now, and my husband is a very close part of me, as you can tell in the charts. You'll soon see why. But so she pulled that up, and we just thought this was fascinating, so we wanted to share.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, without further ado, let's just dive into the charts and see where this goes. And caveat, I have not studied these charts. This is not something that I've spent like time and all of the things. It was just like we glanced at them and it was like, oh, we need to get into this. We need to talk about it. So here on the left we have Haben. And here on the left, we have Brian. So if you are an untrained person in human design, you're thinking, oh my gosh, they look the same because visually they have the same centers defined and they have the same centers undefined. And so it could feel like, wow, I bet you guys just do everything the same way entirely. But on closer look, some of the things that my eye went to is the fact that Haben is what's called a split definition. So you can see that here in the software that I love and use is called Neutrino Design, and the website for it is Neutrino Platform. And for the light filled human design certification that we do, this is required software because it is the best. I've used so many, and you'll get a little bit of a peek at why it is so amazing with this because you can quickly tell things. So Haben has these three centers that all talk to each other and flow, and then she has these two centers that talk to each other and flow. But there is a disconnect if you can visually see between these two centers talking to each other and these three centers. And because there's all this crossover, it's like, oh no, this isn't a connection. This like goes behind this channel over here on the left, or I guess in the center. And then with Brian's, he has a complete flow. So all of his centers all flow within themselves. And
Oh,
so the split versus the single definition is huge, huge in how you're experiencing life. So a split definition, which is really common, it means that you need someone else's energy or you need the transits to kind of bring you to yourself. And so, and you have a lot of opportunities for that to happen because what you have are bridging gates, and you have a lot of bridging gates, which is really fortunate for you. This is where, like, if somebody had gate 31 here between the throat and the identity center, if somebody had that, boom, like you would be connected to yourself. It flows. Or gate 1, or gate 13, or gate 25, or gate 20, or gate 16. So like I have 13 and 16. So when you talk to me, you just have a lot of opportunity, which is makes you very social interactions are really easy for you because chances are whoever you're talking to, there's a really good chance that they are going to bridge one of these many, many gates. Like you have 7 gates we can see here. There are 7 different gates that, and it's a little bit off because I insisted on splitting it, but you have 7 different opportunities that somebody could bridge your split, which is really incredible. It's more common to just have like 1 or 2. And like if somebody only has one bridging gate and they're a split definition and they're a simple split, that that energy of that one bridging gate is going to become like super high stakes. Like they're going to become obsessed with it. And they're probably going to see like a string of people in their life that have been really helpful and really unhelpful that have that bridging gate. And so split definitions are, it's just a really interesting thing to know about yourself that you've got these two different parts of you and they're not talking to each other, but because like your husband has two of these at least. Yeah, he has two of your bridging gates. So like you're good to go. Like being around him, you're like, oh, good. I can find my words and they can come up to my throat and I can harness my power. And like you feel more like you flow, like you're complete when you're around him. But you have that experience around a lot of people.
It's so true. Yeah, for sure. But I can, even with strangers, like at the airport,
Hmm.
talk to anybody for sure.
Right. And there's, it would be interesting moving forward if you were to just sit with it a little bit and feel if you can feel the difference between, oh, I like this person's energy versus like, I feel a flow within me.
Huh.
Because there's a difference because there's multiple reasons why we enjoy being around people,
Right.
but your open centers, which we'll talk about too because he has the same ones, those are taking in other people's energy.
Uh-huh.
And so if you're around somebody that has really lovely energy and they have these open centers that you have, but in them they're defined, you're going to experience those energy centers a lot more amplified around those people than maybe someone else will. And so like if you're around somebody that's really emotionally like gunked up and they're like that energy vampire, that emotional
Yeah.
just suck, like you
Okay.
are going
I
to
hear
be,
a lot of those.
yeah, well, and you're going to be drained by that a lot more in an amplified way than someone like me who has emotional definition
Yeah.
because you're taking in the emotional input and amplifying it. And somebody like me, as an emotional authority, I'm putting out the emotional input. So for me as an emotional authority, I take a lot of personal responsibility for the energy that I bring to the space that way. There's other things I don't bring the energy to the space, but on that thing I do. And so if I'm in an emotional funk, I'm probably just staying my happy self away from everybody because like they don't need to deal with that. And there's very few people in my life that I will even communicate with when I'm in an emotional funk because I know they can handle it and we have an agreement between us that they love me and I love them and all the things because I still need help. It's not like I should just isolate myself, but I'm extremely self-aware on the emotions that I put out into the world because I can see how I impact people dramatically. So when I'm in a good space, I'm like, cool, I'll share my love with the whole world. If I'm not getting on camera, I'm not talking to people, I'm not doing any of that stuff. So
I
yeah,
have
any of that. Yes, please go ahead.
So I can't do the thing where you
Yeah,
can see what I'm touching,
yeah.
but the squares that are open on both of I mean, the triangles that are open on
Hmm.
the, yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Hmm.
that's our emotional center.
This is emotional. So
Okay,
both
so
of you are
both,
emotionally undefined.
okay, so I wonder, like anytime something happens, we're both like, "Ah." is that, does that, both of us, and that can be really hard when we're both like, "Ah."
Right. So, what happens with any, we'll talk about any undefined center, and then we'll definitely focus on this because this is something when I saw this, I was like, we need to talk about this. Any center that is undefined or white in your chart is going to take in the energy of corresponding defined centers and amplify it. So it's going to potentially express infinitely. It's going to have a capacity that the other centers don't, but just temporarily. And it's not made to sustain that. So it can come out like, blah. This is where our wisdom comes in because we're kind of bad at it in some ways, or like it's really that we just don't have that consistent access to the energy of it. So
Yeah,
we're playing and we're learning with it when we're around somebody who has a defined center. So more than likely, you guys have children in your home that have defined emotional centers that are creating emotional stuff. And even if that's not the subject of a blah, like,
yeah,
but if the energy is just there, and if they're having a moment and it's coming in and amplifying in you and amplifying in him, what I've
yeah.
seen with couples where they're both emotionally undefined is you get this like weird ricochet effect where it's
Mhm.
like you have a strong emotion that's amplified that's not even yours, and then it ricochets to him and then he has a strong emotion from your amplified emotion and then bam 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 bam, and so it
That's
can like create this like echo chamber of
weird.
like where did this come from, like I don't even know why we're yelling, I don't even know why we're mad.
Yeah, that is the first 15 years of our marriage, I think. It's just us bouncing off of each other.
Right. And it's
For
really
real.
common because when you get married young, you're helping each other to grow up. And it's just the way it is. Like, you're never going to find someone who got married like in their early 20s that it just was like smooth sailing and nobody ever had an immature moment
Right.
because like your brain isn't even fully developed until 26 and then it still keeps, growing and
I
like
have so much
developing.
grace for myself now, for real, because
Yes.
you are really growing with someone and
Oh, yeah.
you're both bringing in things from different perspectives, and to stay in a marriage, like I'm kind of proud of myself.
You should be. You
You
absolutely
did
should be.
well.
My husband and I were just talking about this again last night because I'm obsessed with relationships and obsessed with marriage. And I met Ralph when I was 39 and he was 40, how old was he? 47. And we'd both been divorced and all of the things and we learned our life. So we have the quote unquote benefit of having gone through hell and then finding each other. So we have a
Yeah.
very clean slate relationship, right? And we were like, okay, we're going to protect this. We're not going to allow resentment to grow. And like, we've been very diligent. It's been almost 5 years and our marriage is spectacular.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful. But we were just talking last night about couples who've been married 20, 25 plus years and how in order for those relationships to survive, at some point, one and the other, hopefully within a relatively coinciding window of time, needs to say, oh my gosh, I have been so difficult to
Yeah.
live with because I've been so immature.
Yeah.
And to own your stuff and to be self honest, and the other person has to do it. Otherwise, obviously that could turn into one person carrying all the weight, or potentially if there's abuse, then it just opens up for more abuse and all the things. So, but in an ideal environment where you just have two immature people that are genuinely trying their best and they're growing up, that hopefully you both grow up enough in some kind of sync that like around the same-ish time, probably one person's going to go first, but the other person can be like, oh yeah, you're right. That there can be this renewal and this like, okay, we get to rebuild this together into something that we actually both want. And we were just talking about that is harder and it's not talked about. You do not hear people sharing hardly ever of, yeah, our marriage was really rough for, the first 15 years. And then we had about 5 years where we were genuinely talking about divorce or whatever. And then we got our crap together and we decided to own our things. And now our marriage is actually really good. And I'm so glad that I still get to be with this person, that we made a life together and we had all these babies together and like all of the things. And that's harder because in order to reconcile with the person who has been the person that's like violated you, because that's
Yeah.
what happens in marriage is like you're an asshole, they're an asshole. Like it happens. We just get to own it. And in
Yeah.
order to do that, the humility that it takes to not hold on and be like, no, but you hurt me that one time and I never got over it. Like you have to get over it with
I
that
think
person.
Yeah, I think there comes a point where you can be like, hey, do I want to continue to be angry and resentful through? I
Yes.
mean, I'm so unhappy.
Yes.
The status quo is just miserable. So, yeah, you can either, or you can be like, what do I have to do to move forward?
Yes.
Because this is all I
Yes.
want.
Exactly.
So,
It is the ultimate growth development program, like that and parenthood. Like
absolutely.
it's going to push the hell out of all of your buttons and it's really, really, really hard. And in a lot of ways, getting divorced and then doing your healing work outside of that relationship and marrying someone else and making a better choice and hopefully it turns out better, like in a lot of ways that is genuinely easier, and some people just don't really have an option.
Otherwise, you're just bringing the same
Oh
thing.
yeah, you still have to do the work. Either way, you have to do the work. But doing the work inside of a marriage that maybe hasn't been so great is very different than doing the work when you're like empowered and all the things. And what I was telling Ralph just last night is the first time I got divorced, I was 26. And it
Wow.
was the first time in my life that I really spoke the truth to myself.
Yes.
And so that was incredibly empowering. And I didn't need to get divorced to do that. But
Sure.
either way, either path that somebody takes to have a better marriage, you have to get to the point where you tell yourself the truth.
You have to be honest.
You have to. And then you have to be able to tell the truth to the other person, especially if you're going to stay in that marriage. There was only so much truth that I needed to express to my ex-husband, but
Right.
it was an impossible road with him, and so I got to get divorced, right? Like it was
Yeah.
never ever going to improve. And so in some ways, I got that benefit, but I just see this over and over and over and over again. Because I love marriage. I constantly am reading books about marriage and relationships, even though like this isn't a problem I'm currently trying to solve, but it's one of my deepest passions is the connection point and what pushes our buttons and what draws us to each other and why is it wonderful and why is it terrible? Like all of it, I love it.
Yeah, definitely. So
So
yay for marriage.
yes, marriage is amazing and it is so freaking hard sometimes. And so these emotional centers, so his is completely undefined. Brian has no gates at all, and he
Yeah.
even only has one gate that's reaching towards it. So he has all of these completely empty channels between. So he only has one opportunity between transits and people for his emotional center to become activated. Only one, unless it's a full channel happening through transits or another person.
So what does that mean and how do you activate it?
So the like say gate 55, say he's around somebody like one of your kids might have gate 55, that person may create more emotional response in him. You don't have gate 55. And so
Yeah.
you're not defining his emotional center, but it is and he's not defining yours either.
So what does that mean? You're gonna have to speak really.
Yes. So like yeah, we're talking the technical and now we're going to put it into actual practical terms. So
Yeah.
he has a totally wide open emotional center, which means he is very rarely provoked in the same way that like you have multiple opportunities for your emotional center to be defined. Gate 37, gate 12, gate 36. Like if any of these are activated by somebody, you have more access to your emotional center while you're around that person or while there's that transit happening, like the planets are activating these gates. And so to an extent, he is more steady than you, but you are still pretty steady in the emotional sense.
Right.
Like
I don't feel like that, but I'm glad.
well, and when somebody with an undefined emotional center feels emotional and unsteady, what I find with this is just that you're carrying other people's energy in here that's not yours, and it's could be like decades old.
It's true. I thought that was my role as a mother.
Yeah, of course. And it really makes sense because you had this ability to truly take in and feel their feelings as you're like, cool, this is how I'm supposed to mom. Like, this is how this game works.
Yeah.
And that makes sense that you would have gotten that message. And, but the truth is that you actually are not meant to hold on to it. You are meant to be like a walkthrough, but not a sponge.
Yeah, I wish I'd known that a long time ago. I mean, I'm learning now, and so
Right,
this is like in alignment and proving to me that this is I'm on the right path.
right.
But man, I wish I'd known that as a young mother.
And I
This
find that
mine isn't mine.
yeah, most people who are on a journey of self-healing, they often get to the point where they're discovering a lot of truths that are revealed in their human design chart, but they'll get like 10 or 15% of it and they're like, "Oh yeah, I found this truth." And then in human design it's like blah 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 about your emotional center and it's like you've got to be kidding. And then it gives you the other 85% of the equation
Cool.
of this thing. So like I have a meditation on YouTube that is meant for helping to heal the undefined centers. So the crux of it is that you picture the center that like and you understand like okay, this is my emotional center, so this is dealing with emotions, and you could do this with each one of these. And so you picture the center and then you picture it like a room, like an empty, like a room that's probably filled with other people's stuff, and you go into this meditative state and it's like it's probably crap everywhere. Like if you ever watch those like home improvement shows where they go into like the hoarder people and they go and they have like an emotional connection about it and everything and they talk about it, and then they have all these young people in the same colored t-shirts come and just quickly like carry everything out to the
Not
lawn.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, and they just quickly like take all the crap out and it takes like all of these people to get it out. And
Yeah.
then you go in and you clean the room and you clean the empty room, but with
Yeah.
an undefined emotional center or really any undefined center, when you go to put things back, you basically don't put anything back. Or like with you, you have one activated gate, so you might have like a chair that goes in there or like, like a something that
Yeah.
is yours, but for the most part like pretty much everything that's stuck in your emotional center is not yours. And so, just like with the hoarders, we know if we go follow up with them in 6 months, there's a good chance there's going to be piles of crap again. So, you have to like stay
So this
vigilant.
needs to be something that I do constantly.
Yes. But the initial, you'll go, oh my gosh, like if you can really cleanse it out that first time, just like I'm sure the hoarders are like, whoa, this is how it feels. And so if they don't do the internal work of like being at peace with having a non-gross room, they're going to, manifest the gross room again. But like if you really know how it feels and you're doing the work to go, I get to feel at peace, I get to feel stable, I get to feel calm, I get to feel all of this. And when you are around somebody that has big, big feelings, that you just kind of ride that wave with them and then you let it go.
It's so funny because my husband's like, when my kids have big feelings, he's like, I don't
Yeah.
care. He's like, it doesn't bother me. It
Well,
doesn't.
yeah, exactly. It literally doesn't. Yeah, he can be very unflappable. And like my husband also has a completely undefined emotional center, also with like no gates reaching out to it. Except he has one more. He has 41. And so he has two opportunities. But like other than that, he's got nothing. And he really is unflappable. And it's like really fascinating because I am not that. And I've had my own work to do with my emotional center and the deconditioning of it. But for the deconditioning of the undefined emotional center, this makes you a true emotional empath. You actually can feel what other people are feeling. I can tap into what other people are feeling, but it's more of an awareness experience. I'm not experiencing it with them.
Well, I think that I've also had to learn and grow that other people's feelings that I feel so intensely. Oh, that's not mine.
Yes, but it feels like yours when you
Yeah.
don't know the difference.
And it makes me very scared when when people I love have big emotions. It makes me
Yes.
feel like I have to help them. I have to, this is so intense, you know?
Yes. And so each of the centers, when they're undefined, they have a quote, a not self theme. And that is where you're not acting true to yourself. And so the not self theme of the undefined emotional center is avoiding confrontation. Because say you go to somebody and you know you have to tell them something that they are going to be upset by. And especially if that person is an emotional authority, so they're going to have big, big immediate feelings about it. If you tell them and then they have their big, big immediate feelings, it like crashes into you.
Yeah.
And you are having a very amplified experience of their shock or anger or frustration or whatever. So it's like, well, I'm gonna just do whatever it takes to not have that experience.
But that's not healthy. You
It's
have this
well, it's
experience.
not
I
healthy. Yeah.
know that it wasn't mine. Yeah.
Exactly. And so each of the white centers that everybody has their very unhealthy versions. And this is where the most unhealthy part of us is going to show up is in our undefined centers, which is why human design is so amazing because it's basically the healing map. It's like, okay, like this one is always in a hurry to be free of the pressure. So both you and your sweet husband are always in a hurry to be free of the pressure. It's like, just hurry up and do the to-do list. Just hurry up and do it. Just da 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 da. And it's push, push, rush, rush, go, go, go. And
Yeah.
cram
I was
8 hours
going
worth
to
of
say
stuff
that.
in 40 minutes.
Can we just get through this so that we don't have? Yes.
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 My
And
kids,
so,
you guys are always in a rush. You guys are always so impatient.
yes, because you both feel this pressure, because the root center is a pressure center. Both of you guys are feeling pressure, especially if one of your children has a defined root. I mean, it could be like a 2-year-old. It could be like an infant that doesn't even speak and they have a defined root, and it creates this pressure that you're feeling like, but you're both having this pressure. And so you guys could be pressuring each other thinking like just go, just hurry, just go. And like the level of time delusion that I see in people who have an undefined root is like amazing to me. And it's one of those ones that when people say they have ADHD, which I know that you've been on a journey with ADHD,
Yeah.
but when I see people that are like, I have ADHD, and I'm like, or it could
Or
be an undefined root, and not that a person doesn't have ADHD, but it's like there's so much about this experience that can be mitigated by understanding your undefined centers. Not
absolutely.
that we're invalidating anything or anything like that, but it's like, if you are struggling with obesity, maybe stop eating hot dogs. It's like if you're struggling with attention deficit disorder, like if you're struggling to be able to focus, maybe let's look at healing some of these undefined centers, because then you may still have ADHD, but you might not have such a miserable experience with it.
It reminds me of what Ali says about when you first start feeling your emotions and you have a backlog at first, you know what I mean?
Yes.
All
Yes.
those like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So this is so interesting. Okay, what else do you see about?
Okay, so you guys have different channels. So a channel is when two harmonic gates are activated within a chart, and then they form a channel. And that's what creates definition. That's what makes centers defined. And so you'll notice every single center that's colored in has a channel between it. And so you have this channel.
Channel means that it is connected all the way. Is that what channel
Yeah,
means?
it's connected all the way between two centers because you'll have these little nubs, like see how you have like gate 22. It's
But it's
it's
not all
just
the way.
it's an activated gate, but you don't have 12. If you had 12, you'd have an activated channel.
Okay. Okay.
And so with with yours, you have this channel, which is the channel of surrender, and you have the channel of money, the money line,
And you
and then
said both of us had the money one.
yes, and the channel of rhythm, which was so interesting. Yeah, when we talked about this before. So you have the channel of rhythm. Now he
I don't know what
has,
these mean.
huh?
Good things? I don't know what any of those mean.
Yeah, exactly. They're whole own archetypes within themselves. And
Okay.
so with him, he has the channel of the money line, and he has the channel of discovery, the channel of initiation, and the channel of the brainwave. So he has almost entirely different channels, which is why, even though you have quote unquote the same definition, like the same channels, the same centers defined, they're defined by almost entirely different um, channels, except you
Cool.
guys both have the money line. And so the money line is about supporting your tribe with the material, finance, and education. You're pleased when putting money to good use, especially when it benefits your community. So this is a very community oriented one.
Yeah.
Because channel 2145 is tribal, its main purpose is to ensure that the material and monetary matters of the tribe are handled properly and in accordance with everyone's benefit. You will be the one in control and have the last word when it comes to your community's finances, which is interesting in a marriage that you both have this energy. So we'll unpack this too. You also don't feel good when when someone else delegates a task to you. Instead, you must learn to delegate tasks efficiently yourself. For this reason, being employed is not your thing, and you prefer to have your own enterprise or at least be employed in a more management like position. You tend to work hard, but only when you follow at your own pace. A key point for you is to learn how to make money, which you are
Yeah.
doing with my 12 sacred
Yeah.
keys to consistent $10,000 months. You have a financial literacy by nature. I want
Mhm.
this to become like something that you tell yourself like
Yeah.
daily, like all the time, like, oh, I have financial literacy by nature. This
Yeah.
doesn't mean that somebody without the money channel can't figure out finances, but like you have this inherent energy flowing in you, and it can be so helpful to just tap into it because you can be like, it's here, it's here, it's already here. I have it, it's good. Like, this is healthy, this is good. I'm meant to have this. And you can kind of feel it out for yourself and find that energy within yourself. You have an idea of how to most efficiently put money to work in order to achieve certain community or team goals. This makes you appearing trustworthy to investors, and you'll be able to easily secure financing for your enterprises. You may be attracted and have the capacity to operate with more complex financial instruments like stock markets, bonds, etc. The most important thing for you is to understand that you must have the last word in such material matters in order to realize your full potential. So that's something for you guys to both discuss. Like, okay, we're married, we're partnership, like we need to honor that both of us have this very potent energy and we get to take each other's viewpoint in, but also we just need to honor like we both need to have the feeling like we have the last word, which means you really need to get on the same page. You must not lead uh, you must lead not for the swelling of your own personal ego, but for the good of the tribe, because this channel is manifested. So this is the manifested channel that both of you guys have, meaning it's directly connected to a motor. So it's the motor to the throat channel. So anybody who has this is a manifester or a manifesting generator, period, the end. If you're a projector, if you're a reflector or a generator, you will never ever have this channel. And so because it's manifested, it has strong impact and works for the balanced state of peace. Because the manifester ego, the manifester aura, which neither of you are, but because this is a manifested channel, it is oriented to peace, which is the signature of the manifester. So, whew, all of that. I was like, I'm not going to paraphrase this. We're going to actually read it. So,
So, because my husband, he started his own company during 2008. Well, before
oh
2000,
yeah, rough time.
that crashed and burned, and he's been a little bit scared to do
Yeah.
it ever since. And so he's worked for other people and just been so miserable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he has an amazing work ethic, so he gets up and does it. But the last couple of years, he keeps thinking, I want to do something that I want to do, you know? So
Well, and this is so huge. So both of you guys have this defined will center, also called the heart center, also called the ego center. I actually really love that it
that's
has
good
three
to
different names. And it's less common to have this one defined because it only has four gates in it. You have all four gates activated. This is a very activated ego, very activated heart, very
know.
activated will. So both of you guys do have willpower. Like when you want to do something, you're like, I will move this mountain with my sheer strength and passion and determination. That is what this cute little tiny off to the side thing is saying. I have this as well. And I really truly believe I could move a mountain with my own sheer force if I felt like that's what I needed to do. So, like, yes, if he
If
is
I clean up all my undefined, maybe I'll feel that, but I don't feel out there right now.
well, and it can be helpful to be handed the power of like what is in you because there's a part of you that does know this.
Yeah.
And when you can turn your conscious attention to it,
Yeah.
like yours is only defined unconsciously. See how this is a red channel and this, the full channel is red. So to an extent, there's a part of you that just knows that you have this, but it's not conscious. So you're
Yeah.
bringing the unconscious to the conscious with this, which is again, the power of human design. And so you're able to see, okay, I have this inside of me. Like there are parts of me in my chart that I didn't know the power of, and I was completely unattached to it. I was unaware of it until later in my life. And especially when I saw it in my chart, then it was like, oh, I can claim this. And now it is a strength
Yeah.
of mine. And it's not just a mental game because I'm so skeptical. I'm like, did I just make that up because somebody told me that was in my chart? And it's like, no, there is a power in me that's flowing consistently. And I
Yeah.
was focused somewhere else. I wasn't drawing on the well of what I had, I was focused on what I didn't have. And so that's why I love this because you have so much power in your chart. So much
I
power. I love it.
think, you know, even though we have the same,
Hmm.
what are these called? Gates?
Yeah.
No, gates, centers,
Yes,
defined,
centers. Exactly.
right?
You're doing great.
But we have different activations. I guess that's what in different gates.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like if we put them on top of each other, we're really like this powerhouse because we bring two
Absolutely. Yes.
sides.
Yes, you sure are. And that is a very appropriate way to say that. And when they are put together, you guys do define the root. So combined, you guys have a root definition that like you guys kind of see how you have like 42
Yeah.
here and
Yeah.
52 and he's got the 53 and the
Yeah.
sorry, you've
I,
got 52 and oh no, yeah, you both have 52. But yeah, you do define with the 42-53 channel. So together you guys have the energy of the root, the groundedness, the steadiness, the drive, the ambition is
uh,
really where the root is coming in. But it's only together that you guys activate that. And it can create pressure within you if you're misreading it, but it also can create that like ability to like move the energy differently. But the will center, you guys both have your sacral centers, which are so freaking powerful. I mean, this is the powerhouse of the entire chart as far as like movement and generated energy. But the will center feels more powerful sometimes when it's on. But the thing about the will center, the heart center, the ego center, it's all called that. And I love pondering on the different names that are given, and different teachers gravitate towards different ones. I like mentioning all three of them when I teach it.
yeah.
It's like a tank. It'll get depleted and
Okay.
it'll go down. And so you'll get to this point where even your sacral is like, okay, I'm good, I've got energy, let's go. But if your will center, his or yours, are depleted, it's like, nah, I don't care, I don't want to do it. Meh. Like,
Yeah.
meh. It's just
Yeah.
because you have different motors. You guys both only have the same two motors, but the sacral motor is the one that regenerates energy when you're satisfied. When you're like doing things that are aligned, you have the regeneration and you can go and go and go and go and you collapse in bed at the end of the day using up all your physical energy and you're like, "Oh, I'm so tired, but I'm so satisfied." And then you wake up and you can do it again.
I didn't know that we needed to use up all our physical energy.
Yes, it is. If you
Before-
don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
And so, where like a non sacral, so if you have non sacral children, like a manifestor or a projector or a reflector, it
Yeah.
is actually dangerous for them to use up all of their physical energy in a day because they get so depleted. So, I'm the only non sacral that lives in my home all the time, and I have three generators and a manifesting
And
generator
all
here.
these
We're just
sacral.
buzzing. Yeah. So I have my space in my room with my chair that I just go to, and like I've been able to educate everybody in my home like this is me and this is you and you're magnificent and I'm magnificent and here we are. And so like my quick side tangent about the sacral and how important that this is to use it. So I have 13, he's almost 14, and 15-year-old that I'm homeschooling. And this is the first homeschool year that I have finally felt better because I've been on a huge health journey. And so, like, I feel like I'm now more like a regular projector instead of a sick projector, like I have been for 7.5 years. And
Right.
so this year, I'm like, okay, like I can do stuff. I can take you places. And I've been telling them for years because they're basically sedentary because having an unhealthy projector mom, I'm not like, let's go run laps, right? But I've been telling them they're tired all the time. And I'm like, you guys are a generator and a manifesting generator. Like, you should have so much more energy. And it's like, but you have to use it, otherwise you lose it. And so this year for homeschool, we joined a gym and hired a personal trainer to do like a little mini class with just the three of us. So, I get a personal trainer too,
Awesome.
which is great.
Yeah.
And so we've been going to the gym, just started this week. The first day, they were both like, that was amazing and that was incredible. And then the next morning, my Manny Jen 15-year-old was like, I slept so good. He's like, and I know it was because of the gym. He's like, I have to go every
Awesome.
day. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hallelujah. This is what I've been waiting for. Like, I don't have to work out as hard as they will. And I don't have
Right.
to go as often as they do. I can drive to the gym and sit my happy self in the car while he goes and works out, which we've done. But he does. He's seeing it. He's experiencing it. Like, and so he went for 2 days, 3 days in a row, and then he didn't go. And
Mhm.
that night, he's like, I just slept normal. He's like, I didn't sleep bad, but I slept normal. He's like, and I know it's because I didn't go to the gym. And
Right.
like, he didn't exert himself, he didn't use it up. And so it is vital to kind of drain that energy doing things that you love, not just, oh, I got to use my energy because that woman on the internet said, and blah, blah, blah. No, like do things that you love. So the ideal generator or manifesting generator life is exerting yourself throughout the day, doing things that are a clear yes or uh-huh to you, that are
Right.
aligned and good and positive, and collapsing in bed and being like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted and that was amazing. And then
Yeah.
you rest really, really well because you actually recharge from sleep. Non-sacrals do not recharge from sleep, but sacral
Wow.
beings do. And then
Okay.
you wake up and you're like, let's do it again. And you do more things and you play and you interact with life and you work and you do satisfying things and collapse in bed again. And so, like, my generator husband, he was already living his life this way before he met me. And me explaining this to him, he's like, yes, he's like, that is 100% true. He loves to mountain bike. He builds cabinets all day. He's working in the garage. He's doing stuff. He rides his dirt bike and like rides it over rocks. And like, he's constantly coming to bed completely exhausted and he falls asleep in like 2 minutes. It takes me like an hour and a half to 2 hours to like fully unwind and like slowly
Yeah.
go to bed, which I start after he falls asleep. So like we're on a completely different rhythm, but there's nothing wrong with me and there's nothing wrong with him. And so
Right.
yes, side tangent, but yes, the sacral definition is very tied to physical exertion, doing
Okay.
things that you love. Don't just like whip your body into shape, but like playing, dancing, if you enjoy going to the gym, going for a run, doing things that you love.
So I have a question,
Yeah.
and talking about married, right?
Yeah.
Like our sex life is really important to us. Like
Yeah,
it's really,
definitely.
do you see that in here? Like, does that show up?
So the sacral is really the center for sexuality. And so often with sacral beings, which is 70% of the planet, there is going to be that focus on it because there is so much of that. I also do believe that a lot of sexuality shows up in the emotional center too. So for people that don't have a defined sacral, it's not like that's the only place that it is there because there's a lot of emotion and there's a lot of like that juiciness for life that's in the emotional center.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the defined sacral, there's going to be that energy for it. There's going to be that a little bit of focus on it. And if it's not happening or if it's not good or anything like that, it's there's going to be a lack of satisfaction. There's a reason why we use the term satisfaction, like, oh, I'm so satisfied after good sex. And there's a reason why we're like, oh, I'm so unsatisfied either
Yeah.
after bad sex or after no sex, because it really is the hallmark of the sacral center is satisfaction. The way that you know that you're living aligned with yourself is satisfaction. And the way that you know that you're not living aligned is frustration. And they call it sexual frustration. Like, I'm so sexually frustrated. And it is directly from the sacral center that we are getting these terms that pretty much everyone can relate to. And I would imagine, I'm not a sacral being, but I would imagine for a sacral being, this is so much more amplified. I consider myself a very sexual person, but I also, learning human design, know that I am taking in and amplifying sexual energy around me as a non-sacral. And so that caused me to be like, oh, do I really like sex, or am I just amplifying the sexual enjoyment around me? And I've had my own little journey with trying to examine that and everything. And I think it's both. I think both is
I
true.
have, I have not to get too TMI, I have someone that I'm close to that is a female, and she talks about how she feels like she matches people's energy when it comes to sexuality.
Yeah.
So that sounds like maybe she might have
There's
an
a
up.
really good chance that, yeah, she's an undefined sacral, because 30% of the planet are. And so, yeah, it's just the conversation around sexual things is so fascinating. And like one of my students in the human design certification, he actually is, his name is Kyson Kidd, and he has a completely undefined sacral center, completely wide open, like how your husband's emotional center is wide open. And he works with men to coach them on helping them to understand porn addiction. And so I just love that he has all this wisdom from his completely open sacral center to take it in. And I'm like, of all the people in the world to be called to this thing as a projector, as a guide, he is
Yeah.
guiding men to have a much better relationship with sex.
And therefore healing the planet.
Yes, exactly. So often the things that we do to help heal the planet are born out of the wisdom that we get from our undefined centers.
Neat.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
cool. Okay, we both have the triangles up at the head.
Yes. Okay. So let's look at your undefineds up here, because we talked about these two down here. So you have a totally wide open head, which is really common because there's only three gates. It's the least defined of all of the centers. There's only three opportunities for definition. He has one gate up here, and his ajna is totally wide open, and yours has two gates. So I just find the little details like that's
Ah,
interesting. But together you have
how we connect the
yeah, he has 64 and you have 47. So together you help each other find your thoughts. So the head center is the center for inspiration, and the
okay.
ajna is the center for thoughts and opinions and forming ideas and things like that. So an undefined head center can look like being inspired by everything, right? So you're like sitting
Yeah.
there. My favorite example for this is like you're sitting there, like clicking through the channels back when we would channel surf. I don't know how many people still do this, but like you see an ad and it's like, oh, the starving orphans out in Africa. And it's like, oh, I need to donate. Oh my gosh, we need to do something. And click. And then it's like, oh, the dogs down at the pound are going to be put down. It's like, oh, we need to adopt a puppy. And then it's like, and then you click and then it's like, and this other thing. And it's like, oh, I'm so inspired, like this thing. And so there can be like almost an inspiration addiction or an inspiration confusion,
Yeah.
but you can take in and amplify other people's inspiration. People with this defined are often the people doing the inspiring because
Yeah.
they have that definition. And so it's a lot less common for this one to be defined because there's only three opportunities for definition. And
Right.
so you don't see this as much. But so when there's that openness, it's like I see it as an openness to God, an
Mhm.
openness to the heavens, an openness to the crown chakra,
Absolutely.
where you can receive possibilities, but you also have to be wise because you can receive other inspiration that maybe isn't aligned with your actual core belief system. So there's high discernment going on here with the open or undefined head.
There's lots of broadcasting.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it can be much more so that way. And then the undefined ajna, this is ideas. So this is the hallmark of somebody who's more open minded, or that changes their mind a lot and maybe doesn't feel really certain. So the Ajna, the not self of the ajna, is pretending to be certain. And we
Mhm.
see a lot of that in society. We see a
Mhm.
lot of like
Social media.
people, yeah, we see a lot of like, I am certain about this thing and I know it. And you can tell that it's like a posturing or like an amplification energy. It's not real, it's not centered.
Not
Um,
something I say very often. I'm certain. Like I
yeah.
don't do that very
Well,
often.
because you probably very rarely feel certain because you don't have definition
Like
here.
when it comes to my emotions, I really am like, I don't know.
Right. Well, because you actually have the ability to not be feeling something at some point.
Mhm.
Like if you can clear out that room, if you can clear out that emotions, you can be in a state where you're like, I'm literally not feeling anything. Like that exists for you. That doesn't exist for me. I will always be feeling something. And I
Wow.
have a defined head and ajna, and I will always be thinking something.
Huh.
I'm always, 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 always thinking, but I'm designed to be that way.
Yeah.
And so like just last night I couldn't sleep until like 1:30 because I was all wound up. We went and saw a great movie and we had a great date and lots of great conversation and everything. And I couldn't wind down. And my husband has an undefined hedanasha. And he just shuts his brain off and goes to sleep. And so he's like, you just need to like stop thinking things. And I'm like, I literally can't do that. That's not an option for me. Because I just sit and I think and think and think. And some of it's great thoughts and some of it's stressful. But for the most part, I don't ruminate on a lot of stressful things, but I'm just always thinking about things and it's great and I love it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have to take advice from my husband who has a different design and
But if
think,
you know that about yourself, then you would be like, why
exactly.
can't I shut my brain down, you know?
Right. Yeah. And so sometimes I do. I'm like, okay, brain, like, thank you so much, but like, shh, because we need to go to sleep just for a little bit. But with you and your husband, like, just like with the emotional center, you could be ricocheting. You could be like
Mhm.
when you have conversations about ideas, they could go in a million different directions and they could be very, very open. And one conversation, at this time in your life, and then like 6 months later, you could be talking about the same subject, and both of you guys could be in a completely different place than you were 6 months ago about the same topic. And it's because there's an openness, there's a willingness to consider other ideas and to be flexible within that. But
I
it also means that if one of you is like, this is really what I think about this, um, there's a good chance it's coming from a place that's not healthy. It's just an amplification of someone else's
more
idea.
like that than I am. He's more like, this is the way it is. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but he was kind of raised that way too.
Yes, and that's really common, especially if he was raised by a parent or two that had a defined head and ajna. This is why
Yeah.
it's so helpful to look up like your parents' charts and be like, okay, what energy did I simmer in? Especially if you have undefined centers and your parents have defined centers, that's probably where the biggest work is going to be. And statistically, it's just very likely that you have at least one parent that has at least one of these centers that you have undefined defined. And so being able to know that, like, my mom is a manifester and my dad is a manifesting generator, and my very first human design session ever, she was like, oh, that explains so much of why you are the way that you are. And I barely understood that at the time, and now I'm like, it really does. And because I try to manifest, I try to push, I try to say this is what's happening. And I have three manifestor siblings, and then like the rest are generators and manifesting generators with only one projector sibling out of 10 kids. And so there's two projectors, and then the rest are a bunch of manifesting, generating people. And so it took me a long time to figure out how to be at peace with my undefined sacral and the
No
other things in my chart that are undefined.
wonder you burnt out, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and
Huh.
the world just shouts at non-sacrals, like, just push harder. Like, do
Yeah.
it. Just find something you love and do it with everything you've got. And it's like, that is still a recipe for disaster for a
I
non-sacral.
think it's a recipe for disaster for everyone because even for manifesting generators, if it's not lighting us up, we shouldn't be doing it.
Right. But even if it is lighting you up, like a lot of coaches will tell you, like, what lights you up? Just do that over and over again. And it's like, that works if you have a defined sacral. But it does not matter how much it lights me up. And it's the weirdest experience to be like, I'm so lit up by this thing and I've got no go for it. Not today, maybe tomorrow, whatever. And I was telling my husband this morning, I was like, guess what I get to do today? And I was telling him about, I'm like, I am so excited about this and I have the energy for it. And it
Yeah.
lines up and it clicks and it's great. And so when that is, it's a trifecta, and that's where you get the brilliance of the projector. But they can't do it day after day
Yeah.
after day.
2 minutes left. So what is your
Okay, so I do want to talk briefly about the things that are the same. So you both have a defined throat that is connected to the same center. It's defined by that, but his is also connected to his spleen.
Yeah.
So you both have the ability to speak things into creation. You both have that definition. You both have clarity of the voice, maybe not clarity of thought per se, like we talked about, but there is a distinctive talking. So I'd be curious about your children that do not have a defined throat or do not have a manifested channel. I would just be interested in what conditioning that they may be experiencing, having two parents that are manifesting generators, just to be aware that they are having a very different experience than you are if they're a generator or a projector or a reflector.
I have, okay, so I've always kind of felt cautious of looking at my kids' charts because they were all older whenever I got into this. So I kind
Yeah,
of feel like there's some kind of like veil over their.
there's definitely a level of permission for sure. Like my oldest is 20, and so I've spoken with him about this because of course I got really into this and he was little, and then as he got older I was like, are you okay with me continuing to look at your chart because I just have questions and like, or I just want to see things and all of that because he's a huge part of my life and it helps me as I reflect and bounce back and forth, and he said yes. Like um he's okay with it and he understands like what he's saying yes to on some level. He's not really into all this stuff, but and then if we're having a conversation, I'll ask him because I'm a projector and I need to be invited. I'll be like, do you want to know how that shows up in your astrology or your human design? And sometimes he's like, no. He's like, I don't really care. And that's fine, and I respect that, and I really mean it when I ask him like, do you want to know? And then sometimes he's like, sure. And so he sort of like dabbles in it. And then like my youngest, he asked me years ago, he's such a Capricorn, he was like, please don't talk about me very much, because he's like, it's like he's like, my mom's gonna be doing stuff on YouTube and like she's gonna possibly be famous, and like I don't want people knowing things about me.
I have a Capricorn sun that tells me don't talk about my stuff.
Yeah, and it's just that long-term thinking and all of that, and he's brilliant, and I would love to talk about him more because he is just like absolutely a gift from heaven. Like he is such a unique individual and I love him so much. And I'm also very respectful of that. Like he asked me this when he was probably 10. Like he was so young when he was like, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me because I'm such an open person and I'm like, it'll help people, let's share. But
Yeah.
like it's,
I'm very open and my kids are not. So
yeah. And so there is an element of either asking their energy or directly saying like, hey, so I'm on this exploration, are you okay with me looking at your chart? And then if you want to know stuff, I'll share with you what I'm seeing. But
yeah.
it would help me as I'm learning about this and just being direct and using that manifested channel to say, hey, are you okay with this? Because you're right, if they're little it's different, but as
Yeah.
they get older they become their own person, and we need to respect that boundary. That's where a lot of parents go wrong. They're like, well, you're my kid, I can do whatever I want with you and to you, and it's like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think that's such an old school way of thinking.
It really is, and it does need to be confronted, like you obvious like self-confronted, like you've obviously been doing. And so God bless you, and your children I'm sure are grateful now, or they will be, that you
Will be.
yeah, will be. So the other thing is you guys both have your defined identity center, so you both know who you are, you know where you're going, you know your direction to an extent.
Yeah.
Like it's not like sometimes people are like, I still don't know what I'm doing, but like both of you have this clarity, so you don't tell each other who to be because you already are who you are. You're still influenced by each other because, you know, marriage, but
About my husband, he just accepts me as an individual and doesn't try to change me other
which
than
is,
cooking, you know.
and that's gold. Like in and of itself, there are women out there who would consider murder if they thought they could get away with it, to be able to have just that one component in their marriage. Just a man who said, I just love you. You are your own person. Please grow. Please change. Please don't change. Like whatever you need to do, just be who you are. Like that is truly gold. You have hit the jackpot.
I don't know. Yeah, other than my grandmother praying for our spouses, I don't know how it hit the jackpot, but yeah.
Thank you, grandmother.
I say that all the time.
Yeah. And I'm sure, you know, you guys have had your bumps and all the things, but that is such a powerful thing to receive in your intimate partner.
And he's taught me a lot about doing that for others as well, you know, just
Yes,
allowing them to.
exactly. Yeah, and I'm sure there's deeper layers in your chart and his that explain the nuances because obviously we have barely scratched the surface on what
I
is.
know. I'm like, there's so much.
And then you both have your defined sacral, so you both have that like you need to say yes to your yeses and no to your nos. Both of you do. So like his misery in his job, he's probably pretty consistently, maybe even daily, saying yes to things that his body is like no, 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 because you
Yeah.
really won't find an unhappy generator or manifesting generator that's living in their yeses correctly and their nos correctly. Like that is the key thing, and it seems small, but it is everything. And so like I know you are following your ahas, like creating a podcast and like moving forward with your business and all of that is like you're probably feeling like a surge of joy and satisfaction and just like enthusiasm for life that you aren't going to feel.
Too, but he was caught in the masculine, you have to go to work and provide, and which is what helps men feel purpose, because I've seen men
And it
with
is important, but it's the how you go about it that matters. It's not like go to work because you're a dude or sit at home. It's not a black and white, it's not a binary thing. It is very much like go find work that lights you up and you can do it better and make even more money and come home satisfied and really thrive in your own right.
Krypton, though. You think if
Yes.
you change or move, you're gonna have to do all this building before you can benefit from the juiciness of saying yes to your yes, right? But sometimes it's like really fast that it's
Yes.
working.
And it really is designed to be that way. It is designed to be really fast, especially for sacral beings. And it comes down to faith. This is
Yes.
a faith walk because you need to have faith that if you wait to respond, which we didn't even get into both of your
Oh, I know.
strategies and authorities, but like the most important thing out of everything is your strategy and your authorities. So both of you are here to wait to respond,
Yeah.
not initiate first, not initiate first, not initiate first. I cannot say that enough to manifesting generators because you guys are like, I have the initiation in me. Let's just start with that because it sounds more fun.
Appreciates then if neither of you are allowed to
You
manipulate.
wait to respond and then you listen to your sacral because that's your authority. So the ahas and ahs, and then you initiate.
So
So
you're waiting to respond to
first
life.
to life, yes. And there will be things to respond to like every 11 seconds
Yeah.
because the world is made for
Why social
generators.
media is so hard for me
You've
because
got kids, you've got the phone, you've got sounds, you've got stimulus, there are so many things to respond to that you can guide yourself with those ahas and those uh-uhs, and you take the steps when there's an uh-huh and you hold back when there's an uh-uh. And if you listen to those sacred signals and you really are in alignment, you
yeah.
will be led to exactly what you need to do. And if you skip that step, if you get an but you move forward anyway, or like him, um, or if you initiate first and there's no waiting, if you're skipping the waiting, you absolutely will step into frustration. Absolutely will. And so anytime you or him feel frustrated, that is boop, that sacred signal, like a flag popping up saying, hey, frustration here again. You will get frustrated, and frustration always comes because you didn't properly wait to respond.
So how would you take this back to a husband who is not the wait to respond part, who isn't literate in this? How would you?
So I would have him, of course, watch all of this. And it is really about there is a part of him that already knows this.
Yeah.
And so just trusting that. And you then wait to respond to figure out, like, it's not a figuring out. Your mind is never your authority.
Need to stop trying to do it that way.
Like, even somebody who has a defined head and ajna, like myself, it still is not my authority. It's there and it's helpful, but it's my mind and my head and ajna are defined for the benefit of the community. My ability to remember an unbelievable amount of data and facts and be able to juggle everything is for the benefit of the community. It's not even for my own benefit.
Yeah, it doesn't do you any good to have all this wonderful knowledge if you can't share it with
Yeah,
anyone.
especially if it just sits up here because I don't have a defined throat. Like it's not getting anywhere. It's just sitting here until it's drawn out of me through invitation.
Yeah.
And as a projector, I have to wait for that invitation because it doesn't matter how much wonderfulness that I have to share if somebody doesn't want to receive it. Like I can't get off of this video and go knock on my neighbor's door and say, "Oh my gosh, I just had the most amazing conversation with Haben about her and her husband. Sit down, give me your husband's chart info and like I'm just going to ram into you and give you the same benefit." Like that would be a train wreck.
That's what it feels like being rammed into when because you are Your
I'm a
energy.
projector, so yeah, my aura penetrates.
Okay.
And so if I don't wait for permission, I'm penetrating without permission, and we know what that is. And that's not okay. And projectors have to wait for that invitation, otherwise they are violating at a really core level.
Wow.
And so that's why so many projectors are in bitterness, because they're pissing people off, or people can't even hear them because there's
Yeah.
no invitation. And so, yes, so when
So
you,
I'm in violation when I don't wait to respond.
yes, and it doesn't violate necessarily other people, it violates you.
Mhm.
Where I violate other people
That's
by,
been a theme in my life, though,
yes.
self-violation for
Well, it's
sure.
all about you. For the generator type, which is generators and manifesting generators, it is literally all about you. You are here to learn about you. You are here to experience you. You are here to play. You're here to have this joyous, full-bodied experience. And it is supposed to be.
Fun.
Yeah. And I love to say it's all about you and it has nothing to do with you. And if you get those wires crossed, life is miserable. But if you
Yeah.
plug them in the right places, everything works beautifully.
It keeps coming to my mind about my north node. And a lot of us are on the same north node because it's such a slow moving
Right.
thing.
And you and your husband have the same, no, you're even
Libra.
in the same gate because you guys are only like 4 weeks apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so even what you were saying about the money, it was for the community. Like if we're focusing
Yes.
on money for the
Yes,
community.
exactly. Because there's channels that are about community and there's channels that are about tribe and then there's channels that are about the individual. And so being able to know those and like I always say human design makes astrology look like nursery level,
Yeah.
but because it's so complex,
Yes.
but the most simple things to learn like strategy and authority are the most impactful. They are the most potent. And we didn't even get into your profile lines, we didn't get into anything, but I feel like we're complete with
Yeah.
like what we've talked about and that was absolutely amazing and like a really good like mini relationship session. And obviously this would be really different if he and I were together. I've done like relationship retreats with like just a couple where it's like they come to where I'm at and then we just meet for like a couple of hours and then take a break and then meet again and all the things to and it becomes like this complete reboot of the relationship and it's so powerful and it's like one of my most favorite things. But obviously doing like the whole human design certification program would be so helpful too for someone just to even understand their own
Yeah.
chart and their spouse and their kids. And but you could see the power of integrating this with pretty much any work or business that you may want to do too.
And we can understand ourselves better. It just helps us have more compassion and
Yes.
it gives us like a springboard of using our own gifts and talents. We're always saying, oh, parenting doesn't have a rule book or whatever, but I think this is the book.
It's and that is what human design originally was downloaded for, was for parents. It was almost this like the parents are already screwed up, they're already too conditioned, but if we can teach them about their children, we can prevent their children from becoming too wounded. And so it is that. And like as parents, if we're willing to do the work and we're willing to feel the feelings and we're willing to clear out our gunked up rooms and all of the things, then we can truly heal and move forward. And that really is the best way to parent, because I really believe the most powerful gift we can give our children, grown or not even born yet or anywhere in between, is to heal ourselves, because we are the wellspring that they draw from. And so if our wellspring is polluted with our funky ideas and toxic beliefs and anger and distortions, that is the wellspring that they're drawing from. If it's a matter of get your kids into therapy or get you into therapy, you get your own butt into therapy, because it doesn't matter if they go see a therapist for 1 hour a week but come home to chaos that you don't even realize you're the inceptor of.
Perpetuating. Right.
Yeah. And so it's like invest in yourself. Yes, there's times that children definitely need therapy, but like 10 times more focus on yourself as the parent. And please just get out of the way. And like what you said, I always say that astrology and human design are systems of compassion, because the more that you understand yourself and the more that you understand the other, the more you're like, oh, it all makes so much sense and I'm not upset anymore about this thing. It's actually beautiful. This thing that irritated me now holds beauty. How did that happen so fast? Yes. Ah, I love this so much. Thank you for coming on and doing this. This was delicious. I want to do more of these types of things, of like reading people's charts really quick. And so this was
And
amazing.
it helps others too.
Yes.
Those
Oh, so much. Yeah, because I do all these private sessions and I have all the people that I've certified that do their private sessions, but like and private sessions are meant to be private. Sometimes we really unpack some stuff that you would never want broadcast on the internet. But we kind of went more surface level and thank you for being vulnerable and willing and please thank your sweet husband too. Because it really, really helps people to be able to see another because it's like, oh, I have that or oh yeah. And it can trigger a whole path. And so if somebody is watching at this point, thank you for being here and consider booking a one-on-one session. And I have so many people. I'll put the link in the comments to be able to book with my top recommended certified light field astrologers and certified light field human design experts. And there's
your
just so much.
offers the class that you can learn it too.
Yes, and the certification programs are just
Yeah,
spectacular.
right.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. And then, like Haben says, she's doing my business course on 12 sacred keys to consistent $10,000 months. And so I feel very passionate about this with my defined will center to be like, we need to help people to know, those that want to know. And I feel like, there's more than enough people that want to know that I'm called to do this work and you're called to do the work you are. And if we all just respond to those calls and we lift the light where we are at, it really does change the world. So.
So much. So will you drop the link to the meditation that can
Yes.
clear out
Yeah, I'll
the
connect that in this as well. That helps to decondition the undefined centers. Yes. So I'll put that in the notes here, and then I will also put in the links to all the classes that we talked about and to be able to book sessions. So lots and lots of resources for everybody. So yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much. So much fun.
This was amazing. You're just the very best. Mwah.
Right.